Hello story lovers, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a timeless tale that explores what happens when two worlds collide. This is the story of the Prince and the Pauper. Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom, a son was born to the king and queen. They named him Edward, and the entire palace celebrated the arrival of the infant prince. But on that very same day, in a humble corner of the city, another boy named Tom was born into a very poor family. Their lives couldn't have been more different. Prince Edward was surrounded by luxury, with the finest clothes and endless food doted on by his loving father, the king. Tom, however, grew up with hunger as his constant companion. He often had to beg for a simple bite to eat. His home was not a happy one, and one day, feeling lost and upset, Tom left. He wandered through the streets until, by chance, he found himself standing before the magnificent royal palace. He tried to get a closer look, but the stern guards immediately stopped him. Just then, Prince Edward was returning from a walk. Hearing the commotion, he noticed the boy who looked so much like him. Being a kind-hearted prince, he commanded the guards to let Tom enter. Inside, Edward treated Tom to a feast, and as they talked, a daring idea sparked in the prince's mind. He wanted to experience the world outside the palace walls, just for a day. He suggested they swap clothes and places. Tom was nervous, but he couldn't refuse a prince. They exchanged their garments and were astonished to see they were nearly identical. Dressed as a pauper, Prince Edward walked towards the palace gates, excited for his adventure. But the same guards who had stopped Tom now frowned at him. Believing he was the poor boy, they roughly threw the real prince out of the castle. At the same time, Tom's father, who had been searching for him, spotted the prince and, mistaking him for his son, dragged him away. Back in the palace, Tom was in a state of panic. He tried desperately to explain that he wasn't Prince Edward, but no one would listen. The servants, the courtiers, everyone simply thought the prince was playing a strange game. Tom realized he had no choice but to pretend to be the prince. Life outside the palace was a harsh lesson for Prince Edward. He was treated cruelly by Tom's father and soon learned it was pointless to argue. As he walked through the village, he saw the struggles of his people firsthand. He wanted to right the wrongs he witnessed, but he was powerless. No one would believe he was the true prince. He went from door to door, but kindness was rare, and he often went to bed hungry. Days turned into a grueling routine of survival. One afternoon, Edward's luck changed. He spotted a knight from a neighboring kingdom whom he had met during an archery competition. Seizing the opportunity, Edward approached him and recounted specific details of their meeting, trying to prove his identity. The knight listened, and seeing the conviction in the boy's eyes, he believed him. He promised to help, placing the prince on his horse and riding swiftly towards the palace. Meanwhile, a great sadness had fallen over the kingdom. The old king had passed away, and the court was preparing for Tom's coronation. Just as Tom was about to be crowned, the throne room doors burst open, and Prince Edward strode in. The court was thrown into confusion. Tom looked at the real prince, his heart torn. He knew what he had to do, but he was afraid of returning to his old, difficult life. But Tom's good nature won. Gathering his courage, he raised his voice and declared, "I am not your king." This is the true Prince Edward. Edward was crowned King Edward, and he was deeply moved by Tom's honesty and courage. He didn't send Tom back to his old life. Instead, he made him a knight and asked him to stay at the palace as his chief advisor. The prince and the pauper, once separated by fate, became as close as brothers. They ruled the kingdom together with wisdom and compassion, ensuring that all their people were cared for and content. What a wonderful story about empathy and friendship. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.